of all, I'd like to thank Ana Claudia for accepting our invitation. It's a pleasure to have you talking to the Brazilian audience again. I also want to thank EXpoRevestir Trade Fair and Compor Comunicação for this initiative. Secondly, I'd like to introduce myself briefly. For those who do not know me, I am the coordinator of Raiz project, which is a program to encourage the internationalization of Brazilian designers, promoted by Móveis, the Furniture Industry Association of Bento Gonçalves, in partnership with Apex Brazil, the Trade and Investment Promotion Agency, gradually opening up investment possibilities in the American and European markets. Let us get started. Ana Claudia, as we know, you are an American interior designer, but you were born in Brazil. Please tell us a little bit about your history and childhood.
So yes, I was born in Brazil. I lived there till I was 7, and then we moved to New York, and it was a complete culture shock and temperature shock to go from being a brasileira in São Paulo to being in New York. One of the things that I think most kids feel is that they don't want to be different. So at the time, from like when I was 7 till I was 10, I actually stopped speaking Portuguese because I felt so different. But then luckily we moved to Miami, and it was, more of a Latin culture there. I made some Brazilian friends, but I made a lot of international friends from different countries from Latin America. I lived there for pretty much 20 years. My parents moved back to Brazil. I have 4 brothers. They all moved back to Brazil. But I stayed in Miami because, my friends became my family. And then eventually I just knew that I wanted to come back to New York. There's a lot of, it may not have like the warmth of Latin culture, but it has a lot of culture, it has a lot of art, and it had a lot of possibilities for me to expand my interior design practice. So I moved to the city, and right now we live in the Hudson Valley, which is 2 hours north of the city. Culturally, very far from Brazilian culture, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and we are with nature, which is really, really wonderful.
And what do you think of Brazilian architecture and interior design? In your opinion, why do they deserve the attention of the international architecture and design community?
Given, I think, what's really great about Brazilian design and architecture, even past the historical respect that they have, there's a certain amount of sensibility and appreciation and respect for the materials used, for the environment they're in, for the person who's using the product, that is timeless. So whether you're looking at somebody who's more contemporary of today from Brazil, or you're looking at something that's more of a mid-century era, that doesn't go away. That's something that I think more and more people today are appreciating, are these details and respect that, designers have for an object. And I think it has a lot to do with culture. It's the layers of our culture of getting to know somebody, of feeling the warmth, and really getting deep into who the person are, affects how we design our products and design our interiors and design our architecture.
Last year, you had a webinar with some Brazilian designers from Raiz project. Has anything changed in the way you see their work since then?
No, for me, it was more of an introduction of them because I didn't know many of them. And so it was really wonderful to get to meet new designers from Brazil. A lot of times, I may go to Brazil, but I'm spending so much time with family, I'm not really working. And when I do meet new designers from Brazil and products, it's usually at, ICFF, but we haven't had that in last year and possibly not this year. So it was a good introduction. What didn't surprise me is how passionate they were about their work and their sensibilities in design.
And how does the American interior designer use traditional Brazilian materials such as wood, leather, and ceramics in their projects?
So, you know, the wonderful thing about what's happening today is there's a huge appreciation for craftsmanship. And this could be Brazilian craftsmanship or American craftsmanship or European craftsmanship. Leather, wood, and ceramics are being used more now than ever. I don't think it's a trend. I think it's a stark contrast to the technological world that we're living in. And I think it's also just people are coming back to something that they understand and that they can appreciate. And the fact that we're always on the go, go, go. But this particular product, for example, like, a piece of tile is handmade. It's done by somebody, not done by a machine. And I think now more and more people are appreciating it. And the materials coming from nature are really important. So even though we have like laptops here, computers there, having your shell or your home base or moments where it's something constructed by hand using a natural material, it brings warmth into your home that I think, as humans, we want more and more, especially during these COVID times. We really want to feel like warmth and a sense of connection to our environment and people around us.
As an American interior designer, what do you think is necessary to work with the North American market? I mean, what would you say to a Brazilian designer, architect, or interior designer that want to work with the American public?
We can't change the fact that importing and exporting is a headache, or at least not now, and not with a lot of effort. But what we can do is change relationships between Brazilian designers and American designers. So I think it's, a great idea for product designers to build relationships with manufacturers here. You see these sort of, connections where you may have like an American company or a European company, but the designer is somebody international. I think that's a great way to bring Brazilian design to the world. Another way is, if you are an architect or an interior designer in Brazil and your client is moving to the States, you should have a relationship with somebody here, because you could still design the home that's going to be constructed in the United States from Brazil and come for site visits and so forth. But if you have a relationship with somebody here, that person can in turn help you design, based off the building codes and et cetera that are necessary for that area. And they can also be a very integral part of the construction process. So building relationships in general is very, very important to make sure that Brazilian design is connected to the world, and in the United States.
It's an important advice. Thank you. Ana Claudia, thank you so much for letting us know a little bit about you. It was really amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ana Cristina. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to the Brazilian audience. More than ever, I feel a bit of distance from my culture because I'm so far away, and just speaking to you, whether in the English tongue or the Portuguese tongue, is so important to me. And in any way, if it's possible that I can help Brazilian designers in Brazil, feel free to contact me at info@anaclaudiadesign.com. I'm happy to help. I have an initiative right now where it's about local design, but any way that I can bring Brazilian designers to the United States would give me a tremendous amount of pleasure.